With the turn of the century and into the 2010s, video games became increasingly reliant on internet connections for new ways to play together, deliver content, and prevent digital piracy. But nothing lasts forever, and with the progression of time, technology becomes obsolete. Servers shut down for good, and games are left without key features or even in a non-functional playable state. But some developers and fans refuse to have that future. Hello everyone, this is Eiri, and in this video I'd like to visit 8 games and methods that I believe serve as great examples of a developer or publisher going the extra mile and giving their old customers a proper end-of-life plan. Let us begin with a soft example. In software development, products are not immediately shelved when it's considered feature complete, but are instead reduced to a skeleton crew to maintain security updates. This can be seen as a kind of soft end of life, where in the case of games, no more expansion packs are being produced and sold. Half of the games in this list have this status, but what's notable for Team Fortress 2 is that major content updates still occur. They are instead made by the extensive fan community, and the skeleton crew also reviews and approves these products in regular cycles. Valve Software has an excellent structure in place to give revenue back to these community creators as well, and in 2025 they went further and released the entirety of TF2's source code. Fallout 3 and Crysis. Copy protection can take many forms, and with the move away from verifying the existence of a physical disk, since naturally we don't use them anymore, the most common forms of DRM is accomplished by binding it to an account or pinging a server. In the case of Fallout 3, your data was also encrypted using your online account as a keycode. Fallout 3 was likely the first example of save data encryption, and as a result was also the first to fall as Microsoft's authentication servers became out of date. Though officially announced for sunsetting in 2014, the service was not fully shut down until 2022, and Fallout 3's publishers finally released a new patch bypassing the encryption. Similar ambiguous cases can and have occurred in other games that use DRM, such as Crysis, where the third-party activation server simply stopped responding without notice. It was only several years later in 2023 that it was updated with a stripped version.
Maximum armor.
Dragon Age Origins and Mass Effect 2. These two games were released in a transition period for online sales, where competitors were emerging and Steam was still trying to figure out the sale of additional material, such as DLC. Retail disc copies of games were also still being sold at this time, and to support both online and offline customer types, EA elected to sell their expansion packs on their own EA storefront. These DLC packs are downloaded as separate installation files and can be installed on both the Steam version and a disc-based retail version. However, in 2022, EA decided to sunset their original servers, and though user accounts were migrated to the new system, they elected to not keep track of DLC ownership. Instead, they simply released all of the old install files, all of them, for free, tucked away on a special support page. So, owners of the original release version still have access to all content. City of Heroes and Rose Online. MMORPGs are the most vulnerable type of game, where playing by yourself has very little purpose, due to the genre's inherent nature of playing with others online. The shutdown of those servers after enough time, then, can be seen to be inevitable. For smaller group games such as Team Fortress 2, it's a standard for server software to be distributed as well, to play only among friends. But this is not the norm for an MMORPG, and is considered illegal. But things have begun to change. After the shutdown of City of Heroes and Rose Online, some fans who operated these private servers formed indie game companies and managed to contact and acquire licenses from the original publishers. Though not quite an end-of-life action, the act of even selling a server license was unheard of for this genre in particular. And yet, here we are. Mega Man X Dive and Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Smartphone and lootbox-driven games, commonly referred to as gacha, are one of the newest genres of video game out there and wholly relies on having a constant internet connection. These games often update on a near weekly basis with limited time events and experiences that follow the calendar holidays. Mega Man X Dive is one such example, and the company decided to preserve the game after shutdown by reselling it as an offline one-time purchase. Mega Man X Dive Offline also took the time to strip out credit card transactions, replacing it with an internal reward system instead, as well as giving you control over the calendar activations. However, these modifications made account data incompatible, so Capcom opted to not migrate your account data. In contrast, the shutdown of Nintendo's gacha game, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, also follows a similar line of modifications, but also created a new temporary service that allowed users to migrate their accounts to the fully offline version. Pocket Camp Complete also promised new content updates for a couple more years. However, in both these cases, the modifications can be seen to be bare bones, which leads to my final example. Dragon Quest X Online is a Japanese exclusive MMORPG that actually still receives updates after over 10 years, and its popularity in the domestic market means that it might not shut down anytime soon. But an MMORPG is driven by constant annual updates, and Volume 7 of the ongoing story is far removed from the original Volume 1 10 years later. Thus, on its 10th anniversary, Square Enix announced a very unprecedented and surprising move to bring back the original version by rebuilding it as a single-player game. This is where the lines begin to blur, because this is not a plain release of the original version. With AI companions and a complete replacement of the combat system, this is far more extensive than, say, changing your costs in Mega Man X Dive Offline and controlling the calendar. But this is a solution nonetheless, and shows that, with sufficient effort, preserving the important portions of a very transient and ever-evolving MMORPG is possible and proven, though some purists may disagree. All in all, I hope this short video has enlightened you on some of the history surrounding the obsolescence of video games, some intentional and some unintentional due to the aging nature of software technology itself. I'd also like to give an honourable mention to the PC Gaming Wiki and GOG, independent efforts at documenting and repairing broken software. They don't cover or solve all of these situations, but are beacons that assist in software preservation after the original companies fall apart or neglect their game. It's quite possible now for games to die. Some of these solutions are planned, but others are clearly last minute. Emergency and disaster strategies are already a standard in other industries, but not games. Not quite yet. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Thank you for watching, and until next time.